So let's bring in some MoGraph that we've already got made that can add to this 3D tracked scene from After Effects. So when you've got a bunch of different MoGraph scenes or Cinema 4D scenes, here's one here, here's the other one which has my associated graphics in it. You can either copy paste this from one scene to the other, so I can just select this group, Command C, and then go to the other file and Command V, or the other way I can do it is I can come to the scene here that I'm working in and go File, Merge, which is up near the top, and I can pick that file that I've got downloaded already. It's called RLogo Tries. And so if you use Merge, that will just merge one Cinema 4D scene into another one. So I've used the Merge, and I'm just going to jump out of my camera here. Remember what I said before, just make sure whatever you do that you don't move this tracker camera from After Effects. So I'm going to jump out of it just by clicking the little target icon next to it so it goes black. Yeah, don't move that, otherwise your tracked stuff won't match up in its movements anymore. So here's my, my ARA logo from After Effects. Here's my MoGraph stuff that I made previously. So what I want to do is just grab this whole MoGraph system and just pick it up and just position it so it lines up with my ARA logo, and I'm just going to put it underneath, so it just is a graphic element that sits underneath it. Now the good thing is that MoGraph system is all grouped. It's in one big group, all the effectors and the cloner, it's all in one group, so I can just grab that group, grab my move tool and position it where I want it. The other thing I'm going to do is just go to my 4x4 view, go to a top view here, make that big, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball this. This doesn't have to be super accurate for this exercise. I'm just going to grab that group that has all my motion graphic stuff, grab my rotate tool, and I'm just going to rotate it around so that it matches up with my ARA text logo. It doesn't matter if it's not 100% accurate. In this case, I'm just going to do this by eye. That looks pretty close. And I'm just going to position it just in front a little bit. And I'm going to go to my front view as well and just check that it's pretty much lined up there, which it looks like it is. So that's all good. And if we go back to my camera view here, so this is looking through my camera. If I hit play on this, now I've got to remember I don't have my film footage in the background, so I'm just imagining what I can see from this point here. If I hit play on my Cinema 4D scene, my plane effector is animating through those graphics, and the animation's already done. This is keyframed animation that I already made in the past. As I'm sort of walking through that walkway and seeing the logo, this motion graphic element that I've made, it's already done its animation. And I kind of want that animation to happen as I've revealed the text and I can see it and I'm kind of standing right in front of it. Now the good thing about this MoGraph animation that's in here is that it's a really simple animation and it's just using a plane effector animated to pass through my graphics. So I just want to change the timing of when this animation happens. To do that, I'm going to go back to After Effects and figure out when I want that to happen. So if I go to After Effects, here's me as the viewer walking through this walkway. Here's my text starting to reveal itself, and somewhere about here, now that I've got this text pretty much revealed and visible in my camera shot, this is where I want my motion graphics elements to be animated. So looking at my timeline, that's 14 seconds for me. So I've decided I want from 14 seconds, I want this MoGraph stuff to do its thing. So I'm going to go back to Cinema 4D and I'm going to go to 14 seconds on my timeline. This is in frames though. Uh-oh, got to do some maths. So we're working at 25 frames a second. I want to go to frame 14. Which frame number is that? 25 frames a second, 14 seconds.
350.
Sorry? 350? Sure? So how many frames is that? 350? Is that right? I don't see anyone arguing. Must be right. Okay, so at frame 350, we want that animation to start and run through that sequence of revealing those triangles. Okay, when you're doing animation, and it doesn't matter if it's in After Effects or Cinema 4D, as soon as you get even mildly complicated with anything that you're doing, you're constantly be doing things like this, making calculations, animating things to certain frames. So it's a really good idea to always have a pen and paper next to you, because you'll often be writing down notes about when things happen, and it's a lot easier just to scribble that on a bit of paper than to flip into another app and start typing things. So generally when I'm animating, I always have a bit of paper and pen there to make notes of things. But anyway, frame 350. Okay, so in this scene, what is the thing that's actually animated that's causing this MoGraph sequence to do its thing? I'll give you a hint. I've selected it and my mouse is pointing at it. Okay, yeah, it's the plane effector. That's the thing that's animated. So we need to find its keyframes and set them so that they start happening at frame 350. So I'll just go through this sequence, and then once I've done that, I'll stop and go back through it again if anyone's got any questions. So how do we find where the keyframes are, or how do we see the keyframes for an object that's animated in Cinema 4D?
Animation workspace.
Yep, we could go to the animation workspace. Oh, there we go, look at that. Now we've got a timeline here with all our keyframes on it. And there's my plane effector, and I can see there's a keyframe for it at frame 0. And if I just option and right mouse button to zoom out, and I can see there's an end keyframe there as well at frame 100. So my plane effector is animating at the moment from frame 0 to frame 100. I need to shift all that animation so that it starts at frame 350. It's really super easy to do that. All I need to do is select the plane effector. When I select it from this list of animated objects in the dope sheet here, it selects all the keyframes, and I get this coloured bar appeared across the top. Basically, all those keyframes are now selected. So all I need to do is click and drag this bar, and I can position it wherever I want. So this is the start and end keyframe animation for that plane effector. So I'm just going to option, whoops, sorry, I'm pressing the wrong button on the keyboard here. Option and right mouse click just to zoom out. Option and middle mouse click to pan around a little bit. And I'm just going to grab this bunch of keyframes, and I'm going to set them so that they start at frame 350 and it goes through to frame 450. So I've just selected that plane effector here, which grabs all its keyframes, and I've just shunted them down the timeline so that they start at frame 350. So if I just back up a little bit on my timeline here and hit play, I should see, boom, 350, there we go, it's revealing those little animated graphics. Great. So now my timing for those elements is correct, and I can think about anything else I might want to do with them, whether I want to change the timing further or change the actual animation itself.